You know, when we think of ancient texts, we usually think of philosophy, maybe some spiritual guidance. But what if I told you that a single verse, just one line from thousands of years ago, could be a complete masterclass in psychological warfare? That's exactly what we're doing today. We're going to unpack a single line from the Bhagavad Gita to show how words can be used as incredibly sharp, precise weapons.
So let me ask you this. Can praise be a threat? It sounds kind of weird, right? A contradiction. How can a compliment, something that's supposed to build you up, be used to intimidate someone? Just keep that question in the back of your mind, because it is the absolute key to understanding a brilliant and, honestly, a pretty ruthless piece of communication we're about to see unfold.
All right, so let's set the scene. Picture this. We are on the legendary battlefield of Kurukshetra. The air is thick with tension. A massive, catastrophic war is literally moments from beginning. And on one side, you've got the cunning Prince Duryodhana, the leader of the Kaurava army, and he's walking up to speak to his own military teacher, the famous Dronacharya, who also happens to be one of his top generals. Duryodhana gets to his teacher, and this is what he says. Now, you don't have to speak Sanskrit to kind of feel the gravity of these words, right? They sound ancient, they sound formal. And on the surface, yeah, it totally seems like a respectful student addressing his revered mentor. But, as you're about to find out, that is not the whole story, not by a long shot. So what is he actually saying here? If we just do a straight-up literal translation of this verse, it sounds like a pretty standard, by-the-book military update is about to happen. See? Sounds perfectly fine, right? Oh, best of Brahmins, let me tell you about our amazing generals. It feels like a very formal, very polite way for a prince to speak to his teacher right before a battle. It looks like he's just showing some good old-fashioned respect. And this is where it gets really interesting. Because buried under that layer of respect, Duryodhana has planted a verbal landmine. He's picked one specific word that completely flips the meaning of his entire statement. The word is Dvijatama, and what it means, literally, is the best of the Brahmins. Now, the Brahmins were the priestly, the scholarly class in ancient India. So calling Dronacharya this seems like the highest praise you could possibly give someone from his background. But, context is everything.
And here it is. This is the giant gap between what's being said and what's being meant. On the left, you have the so-called compliment. You are the best of Brahmins. But on the right, that's what Dronacharya actually hears. It's a veiled threat. By reminding his general of his scholarly, non-warrior status, right here, right now, the unspoken message is crystal clear. You're a teacher, not a soldier. Prove you're not just some academic enjoying the palace perks. Fight for your keep. It is an absolute masterclass in intimidation disguised as praise.
So why? Why would Duryodhana do this? Why would you risk insulting one of your most important commanders literally seconds before a battle? Well, the answer tells you everything you need to know about his personality. Cunning, manipulative, and deeply insecure. Look, Duryodhana wasn't just being a jerk here. This was a calculated move. He actually didn't fully trust Dronacharya's loyalty because Dronacharya had also been the teacher for the enemy princes. He knew his teacher was, at his core, a Brahmin, a scholar. So this carefully crafted insult was designed to do one thing: to sting his pride, to get under his skin, and to make absolutely sure that he would fight with total ferocity, if only to prove him wrong. I mean, you can break his whole strategy down into 4 simple steps. 1. He singles out his target. 2. He hits him with that backhanded compliment, Dvijatama, to jab at his honor. 3. He implies the threat. And then 4. He immediately covers his tracks by moving on to praise other generals, so the insult is masked by all this other noise. It is a stunning piece of psychological warfare. But this ancient story, it's not just about what happened on some battlefield. No, it's about a universal truth of how we all interact with each other. It's about the incredible power of subtext and the way we use language for things far more complex than just sharing information.
Here's the crucial takeaway from all this. Words are never just words. It's the intent behind them that gives them their real power. A compliment can be a threat. A simple question can be an accusation. This 3,000-year-old verse is a powerful reminder to listen not just to what people are saying, but to what they're trying to do with their words.
And that leaves us with a really powerful question to think about in our own lives, right? When is a compliment not a compliment? When have you heard something that sounded nice, but it just felt off? And maybe more importantly, how can you get better at spotting that gap between words and intent, both in how you listen and in how you speak? It's a skill that's just as valuable today as it was on that ancient battlefield.